Hi everyone, this is Lori from My File Addiction. Today I'm going to do a video tutorial on how to change the default settings for programs that open up certain file formats that you use. So say for instance you use an SVG file. Well, as you can see on mine, the default program that's going to open these files is the Chrome, my Chrome web browser. Okay, so that's not necessarily the program or the way I want my files to open. You should want them to open using whatever software program you use with your cutter. So, and also it helps to identify which files are certain formats too, because often I get a lot of questions from customers that they say, well, I can't find the SVG file. It's a Chrome, it's listed as a Chrome document. Okay, but as you can see that the file extensions are in fact SVGs, even though it says it's a Chrome document over here. And a lot of times is what happens is people can't see the full title of the file, and what may happen is, you may see something like this. So it's hard to determine which of these is a SVG file because nothing is listed over here. But if you hover your cursor over this little line, there's a little gray line that separates name and date modified, and you turn your little arrow into a cross, you can left click, hold down your left click, and you can slide that column over, and that way it will show all the full title and then the file formats at the end of the files. So you can do that with every single one of these columns. Also, you have a view tab up here which allows you to change the view of, to different ways you view your files. So some may have more information on them than others. So if you clicked on extra large icons, you could definitely see what the file formats are at the end of the files. So you can play around with that also. But as you can see, the two SVG files both have the Chrome icon. So I can show you how to change this to, if you're a Silhouette user, a Cricut user, a Cricut a lot user, and it will change the icon. And for some programs, like the Silhouette program, when you click on that SVG, it will automatically put that file right into the program. So some of the other programs don't do that, but we'll test them all out and I'll show you what happens with each program. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is we need to look on our desktop. Okay, and unfortunately, as I'm recording this, it removes for some reason all of my icons that are on my desktop. But if you want to see, I'm going to show you. If I go into this PC setting, okay, and I click on that, and then I go into my desktop, which I can find over here. I can also find it in various areas on my sidebar too. But if I click on this desktop, you can see that I do not have any programs. I don't have Silhouette, I don't have Cricut, Cricut a lot, Canvas Workspace by Brother Scan and Cut. I don't have any of those loaded to my desktop yet. So I'm going to show you how to do that in case you don't have yours loaded either. So I'm going to X out of that. I'm going to go into my Start menu. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to look for our design programs on the side through all of our different things that have been loaded onto our computer. So the first one that I noticed right away is the Cricut Design Space. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down my left click and I'm going to drag that over to my desktop. Now you won't see it because it's not showing my icons, but I'll show you, it'll show up in the list after we look on my desktop list again. So I'm going to go back into the Start menu again. the Sure Cuts a Lot program is under Craft Edge, okay? So we are going to select this little arrow here, and we want to select the option that actually shows the icon of the program. So as you can see, I have Sure Cuts a Lot 3, and then I have version 5 also. So I'm going to select 5, and I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to drag it over to my desktop. Then I'm going to go into, here's my Brother Canvas Workspace program, and I'm going to select the arrow on that one, and I'm going to select this option. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to close this program here again. I'm going to go into my start menu again and select that one, and then I'm just going to hold down my left click, drag it over, and drop it to my desktop. And then the last one will be the Silhouette program, and that one's here. I'm going to select the arrow, hold my left click down, and I'm going to drag it and I'm going to put it over here. Okay, so now if I go back to this PC and I select my desktop, now you can see I have Brother Canvas Workspace, I have Cricut, I have Silhouette, and I have Sure Cuts a Lot. Okay, so all of those have been loaded to my desktop. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our files here. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to the file format that you want to change to make it the program your default program. So right now I'm going to show you working with SVG files. If you find that you work with an EPS file and you use CorelDRAW, you surely can do that with the EPS file too. But right now I'm just going to stick with the SVG because that's the one that most people use for their programs. Also with the DXF file, you can do the same thing with that one too. So let's go into, I'm going to go into the regular SVG file because I'm going to work with the Silhouette program first. So what we're going to do is we are going to hover our mouse over the file type, and we are going to right click, and we're going to select Open With. Okay, now because I've tested these out, all of these programs that I'm going to show you are on my list here. Yours may not be, or they could possibly be, but I don't want you to select a file from this list, because if you do, it will just be a one-time, it will just launch the program one time. We want to make it a default program, and you can't do that until you reach the next screen. So we want to choose another app, and then once this box comes up, there's another little box here that we need to check and click and select always use this app to open SVG files. So it's very important. If you don't check that box, it's not going to change the icons for the file types. So if the program that you are looking for is not located on your list here, okay, and we're going to pretend it's not, we scroll down and we select more apps, and then we're going to scroll through the list again and look for our programs. Okay, say we didn't find it, so now we're going to say look for another app on this PC. If we select that, now we're going to go back into our desktop. Okay, so again, I have mine set up. I can access it in various areas here. So I'm going to select desktop, and I'm going to select Silhouette Studio, and then I'm going to select open. And as you can see right away, it changed those. Okay, so with the Silhouette program, like I said, these files will automatically come into that program, and this is the only one that I've found so far. I haven't tested out CorelDRAW, but out of the 4 programs that I'm going to show you today, Silhouette's the only one that's going to launch and actually bring in the file into the program. Okay, so this worked just fine, and we can X out of this. Select no. So see, if I go back to this file and I select on this SVG file, let's give it a second here to load. And it will bring in your files. So that's kind of a neat little trick, and it saves you a step. You can just automatically click on your files. It's going to launch your programs, and files are going to come in. Okay, so we are going to discard all. Okay, so now we're going to change these to the next one. The next one I'm going to work with is, I'm going to work with shortcuts a lot. So I'm going to hover my mouse over my file, and then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to select open with, and go down to choose another app. First thing I'm going to do is select this box. I'm going to scroll through my list. I'm going to scroll all the way down to look for another app on this PC, unless you happen to, have your program that's on your list. If you do find it on your list, all you have to do is select it from that list, but I'm going to pretend that it's not for this particular program. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my desktop. I'm going to go to Shortcuts a Lot Pro 5, select open. It defaults to that icon for that program. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what's going to happen. So this one doesn't automatically launch the program. Okay, so we're going to select the SVG file, and because we have to select new project, this will basically it's just kind of maybe a quick launch for your program. So you still would have to go into your file and your import, and I can't remember if this was the program. Yes, this was the program. So we're going to pick a SVG file. We're going to select open, and it has brought in our file into our program. Okay, so I'm going to select no. Okay, so the next one, we're going to go now to Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to work with the Cricut Brother file, because the regular SVG file will not work in that program. So I'm going to right click on this file. I'm going to select open with, and I go choose another app, select the box, and for the sake of speeding up the process of this, I am just going to select the one I have loaded. But again, if you don't have it loaded, you would go to your desktop and you'd find that program. So this is the correct one. I'm going to select OK, and now you can see it changed the icons. Okay, so we're going to select new project. We're going to open up our window here. We're going to select upload. Then we go to upload image, browse. I'm going to select the Cricut Brother file. Select open. I'm going to select save. I'm going to select the file, insert image, and the file comes in. Okay, and I'm going to minus out here to bring it out a little bit. And the first thing you guys are going to do with my files, I include some measurements here. This is just for you to double check. The measurements mainly are for Brother Scan and Cut Canvas Workspace users. that particular program resizes the files. Your Design Space program used to do that, but they have since then fixed the issue. So yours should come in at the correct size, but it's always good to double check. So you're going to select Ungroup. And with these particular files, you need to make sure these measurements are for the black boxes. The black boxes are both identical sizes, okay? If you just click anywhere on this box, if you can see, I'm going to zoom in here, and it's actually selecting the design piece, not the box, okay? So this piece says it's 9.977. You're going to say, well, that doesn't match this measurement here. But if you select just the edge of the box, you can see the sizing changes, and it's now 10.277 by 7.246, which is exactly what I said. If you're not sure what you're selecting, I suggest that you marquee select, which means you hold down your left click, you draw an imaginary box around the piece and the box, select it that way. It's now selecting everything, and your measurements match up with mine. So that's how you check your files, okay? Because if not, these two files are two different sizes. So as a designer, it's kind of hard for me to give you measurements for each design piece. It's easier to put a box around it, and both pieces now are exactly the same size. Okay, so that takes care of that program. So we're going to quit out of that one. Now I'm going to do the Brother Scan and Cut, the Canvas Workspace. So I'm going to go again to my Cricut Brother file, and I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to select Open With. I'm going to go to Choose Another App. Select the box here. Select my Brother Canvas Workspace. Select OK. Changes the icons here. And now it gives an error message, okay? But I don't know why it's doing that, but you can select OK. And it'll bring up this. This is, I think, stuff that they sell, so I'm going to X out of this. I would go into either, you can select your import from your computer here, or you can go up to File and select it from here. Okay, so we will select this. I'm going to go into my Faith Over Fear, the Cricut Brother file, select that, select Open. Now it's telling me, warning, that this program has resized my file. So this is the reason that I have this these measurements here, because this program will fit everything on a 12 by 12 mat. Well, when you separate two files that have multiple when you separate a single file and it has multiple design pieces, sometimes both of those pieces together, because both the pieces are supposed to be 10.277 inches wide, which would be, almost 21 inches, it's not going to fit on this mat. So this program has an automatic resizing feature. So what we need to do is, I suggest that you change the size of your mat, go to a 12 by 24, and we're going to select one of these pieces. Just make sure we select one. We're going to select the black box with the design piece, and we're just going to drag it down here. And then I'm going to change my dimensions. So I would go back into this Edit tab, make sure your maintain the aspect ratio is selected, and then you would change this to 10.277, enter, and now the height is 7.25. Because this program rounds up, it's only two decimal points instead of 3 like I have. That third digit rounds the second digit up, so this would be 10.28, and this would be 7.25, and that's exactly what it is. Okay, so now we are going to just drag this. We can select this and drag this down, maybe, yes, and I'm going to select this piece, and then I'm going to do the same thing. 10.277, enter. And now both design pieces are selected. So again, you need to make sure that you are selecting. I would suggest that you marquee select, so you are selecting both the box and the design piece. If you just select this, you would just be selecting the box. So it would increase the size of the box, but it would not increase the size of the design piece, which you have to make sure that you do. So I'm gonna don't save. I'm gonna cancel out of this. So I hope this information was helpful to you, and thanks for watching.